We'll gather around, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong, together we belong. In every comment.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I got a really cool one for you today. At least I think it's cool anyway. So I've got these, it's just scrapbook paper, right? But they're really kind of dark gothic-y images, perfect for this time of year. And I thought that they would look really, really cool if we made some kind of spooky-ish looking picture frames and put these in it. So first up, I'm using the Into Resin, and this is their water ripple frame mold, right? Perfect size for these. I've got some just little, they're fondant picture frames and a couple of frogs. And then we are going to use the new Let's Resin chrome powders in this. And this time we're going to actually dust them on so that you guys can see what they look like dusted on, as opposed to last video where I mixed them into the resin itself, so you can kind of see what they look like both ways. So first things first, for the one that I'm doing first is kind of the orange black. So I'm going with, oh, I can't remember if it's bronze or copper. I have it written down, and everything will be listed down below, along with the black chrome powder. And we're just going to kind of put it on our brush and just tap it into the mold, so this way we can get a nice combination where they're blended really nicely. Because if I were to just put it on my brush and dust it, I'm only going to get one color, whatever hits the mold, whatever's on the brush. So if you do it this way, you can get a nice combination of both colors and they blend out really, really nice. And you don't have any super harsh lines. I mean, could there be some in the way that it hits? Absolutely, sure. But for the most part, it's going to be a really nice, subtle blend of it, which is going to make it look more like one piece that's aged, as opposed to me putting on two separate colors, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to do it with all of the picture frames. Now we're going to do this in kind of two parts because I'm making two sets. So my plan is I'm using all of the picture frame molds for the kind of orangey set of scrapbook paper pictures that I have, and then I'm going to go in with the ones with the roses and the kind of dark bluey purple, and I'm going to go in with another color, so we're going to do it twice. So essentially it's like two projects in one. And then I want to make a set of frogs that matches each one of these sets, if that makes sense. So for the frog, what I did is first I want to, all right, well, this part is kind of, you don't need to do it. I probably shouldn't have done it this way. I had one thought in my mind when I was doing it. I had thought about putting down a clear layer like I just did, and then putting the picture onto that part and doing the frog that way. I changed my mind halfway through, so that part is kind of not necessary for what we're going to do. I'll show you later on when I get to the point of pouring that particular frog. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to worry about the frames and just forget about the frog for the moment. Okay? So what I'm doing is I mixed up about 10 ounces of resin. Now, again, that was for in part the frog and then for the picture frames. I know that the little fondant ones are not going to take a lot. I can't remember because I've only made the Into Resin picture frame once how much it took. I'm going to say I mixed up 10 ounces. I'm going to say about 8 ounces for all of these. Should about do it. I'm using eye candies. I think it's Euro Black. And this is the blackest black that I have found so far as mica powders go. It actually looks black. It doesn't have that kind of gray or, like that just gray, very steely kind of look to it. I've not seen that in this, so I'm super, super happy with this color as far as a mica. The reason I am doing mica as opposed to pigment paste is, honestly, especially with these little guys here, I'm not sure how well of a job I did in dusting it. And I feel like because I used the chrome powders, that using a mica, if it pops through, it'll be better because it has that kind of pearlescent look to it, right? Now, granted, I mean, if I did miss spots in that intricate detail, is it really gonna make a difference? No, not really, not at all. But it's fine. It'll be fine. I also did it in part because if I had any left over, I didn't want a pigment paste. I want that kind of pearlescent look. So anything else that I may do to kind of go along with that, I want it to all kind of match and be cohesive, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my reasoning for choosing the mica as opposed to choosing a pigment paste. But I mean, honestly, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You could use a black epoxy resin if you wanted, which I could have done too, but it's fine. It'll be fine. I am using Let's Resin's epoxy for this project. And all I'm doing now is I am kind of just taking my scribe and poking it into the detail work, hoping that if there's any bubbles trapped anywhere, that it's going to either pop them or encourage them to move, get them unstuck, whatever. I don't want to drag along a piece, like a silicone tool or anything like that, because I don't want to mess up my dusting and have like scratch marks and stuff like that. Like, that's just not what I want. So that's kind of why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. It helps a lot, actually. I can't spray it with alcohol. I can't do any of those things to kind of help the resin flow in there, but this did do a great job. Now, for this one in particular, and honestly, probably for all of these smaller molds, I realized that you're probably supposed to leave the backing part of the frame open for the picture to go in. I am going to cover it up. Now, I realize that, especially for this one in particular that I'm working on right now, that it is most likely going to go over the area that it's supposed to, and I'm going to have some cleanup to do, but it's fine. I want that back on there because I want to be able to glue my picture down into it and put resin over it. So I need that backing for this. I'm not doing an additional backing for it. So it'll be fine. Now, the one complaint I do have with these molds, and in particular the pink ones, I just got these and every single one of them is uneven. So, where it may work out perfectly fine and not an issue for fondant or whatever clay, whatever you're using that's not going to run, it is not ideal for resin because every single one of these, even though I tried my damnedest to level them out as much as possible, every single one of them went one way or another off of it, and I had a lot of cleanup to do at the end. I mean, it's fine. It'll be fine. It's just, it's annoying when you buy something and they send you something that's subpar. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on now. Anyway, the amount of resin I mixed up was pretty perfect. I didn't have too much left over, which is great. Filled up all my molds, got them all over in my drying section. Now, this frog, you would have seen me pour most of it in the last video. Now I'm just going to finish because I didn't have enough resin to finish filling it. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I just took the little bit of clear that I have left over, added just the tiniest amount of that black chrome powder, a little bit of a mixed kind of black glitter. It's mixed chunk. It's got some fine and some medium in there. Nothing super large. Mix that together. And then I'm also going here in a minute. I'm going to start pouring this in here, right? And get it in all the areas because it's going to go with the colors that I have, which are that fuchsia color and the black chrome powder. But what I decided to do was I wanted to do something just a little bit different in the feet, just to kind of make them stand out and give this frog a little bit of extra something. So I have this mixed glass glitter, and it's got like a bunch of different colors in it, and I thought that would be kind of cute to kind of put in the feet. So I'm just going to take one of those little plastic spoons that they give you in a lot of your different resin kits that you get, and I'm just going to add a little bit of it to each one of the feet. There's no point in going down into the legs or into the rest of the body because we're not going to see that at all. So we're just going to go with this, put it in there, make sure that every one of them is going to be under the resin. There's not a lot of resin in here, not a lot of room left. So I do want to make sure that I'm not going to have any issues later on with glass sticking out. Put them each in there, kind of spread it around a little bit, and then finish filling it with this black glitter mixture that I made. And we're just going to let this cure and see how it comes out. Now, the reason that I'm paying extra special attention to where the glass is that this is all going to be listed in my eBay store. So obviously I don't want to have any extra like cleaning up to do or have to pour more resin in because the glass is sticking out too far and I can't smooth it down or any of those things. So, you know, I don't want to have to do any of that. So we're just going to go in here and make sure the toes are filled, make sure that glass is down, and then let this baby cure. Now, we are going to demold these first and then pour the next set, and we're going to kind of bounce back and forth from this point on. I'll talk you through the stuff that needs to be talked through, but when we go through it the second time, I'm just going to kind of speed through it because I don't need to talk about it again. But I do want you to see the process of what I'm doing so that if you guys, you know, you can just see it. So you can see what I'm doing. If you like something and you want to try and recreate it or expand upon whatever it is that I'm doing, that you are able to actually see what I'm doing. All right, so this is just one of those little wine bottle toppers that I recently got. I am going to do a video on them later on where they're actually like the main focus of the video. But I had a little bit of resin left over, pretty much the perfect amount for this. So I'm just going to fill that up. But don't pay too much attention to it because quite honestly, I forgot to demold it in this video. So there's that. I don't know. Anyway, there was a lot of stuff going on in this video, a lot of stuff, and I realize it's one of the longer ones, but it's fine. It'll be fine. Just putting in the last little bit of glass, gave it a little mix. I'm sure it's going to fall for the most part, but I thought it could add a little bit of extra, I don't know, just interest to the piece. All right, so this is the next day. All of these pieces are cured. Now, they are still very soft, and because of the way that these molds are, and because they're not for resin, they are super thin, especially the backs of them, because again, they're not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be open, right? So, but it's fine for what I have planned. It'll work. It's just not supposed to be there. Anyway, so first things first, I love the color. I love the way that the two colors that I put and the way that they blended, and it just gives it this very old, very antique, very haunted house kind of feeling to it. I think they turned out super cool. What I do not like and I'm not happy with is the amount of cleanup that I'm going to have to do. Even though I tried my best to level them out, those small ones have a lot of pieces that have to be cut off, and of course those are the pieces that are thick, so it's going to be all kinds of fun to do. Now, the bigger of the smaller frames turned out great. Absolutely love them. Super cool. Love how this into resin one turned out as well. I mean, I think it's cool. Now it's just a matter of figuring out what picture I want on each one. Obviously, the bigger one, I'm going to be able to use the full picture for the majority anyway. The smaller ones, I'm going to have to cut them down to size. So there's, you know, parts of the picture I'm going to have to decide what I want on there as far as to pick what part of the picture, you know? But let's talk about this frog. So this is the first one. Now, again, the beginnings of it I poured in the last video using the black chrome powder and the fusion chrome powder from Let's Resin actually mixed into the resin. And guys, I'm going to tell you, just wait. Oh my God. This is probably one of the coolest frogs I think I have done to date. Like, this is so cool. Hold on. Just wait a second. Come on, hurry up. I'm so excited about this. This is where my entire thought process on how I was going to do the frogs changed when I saw this. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I love how the color pulled into the middle and almost looks like it's getting sucked down into the middle. It's so cool. Like, oh my gosh. It's camera is not doing it justice at all. Like, not at all. it's amazing. Okay, so set those off to the side. Now it's time to go through the dusting using the same colors. Well, not the same colors. I'm using the fuchsia and the black. So it's the same colors that are in the frog, and we're going to do the same process as far as dusting. I'm going to bounce off. I don't need to talk through this part. If I'm not mistaken, I was started editing like yesterday or the day before. I think I do the cleanup next. I'll be back when we are ready to actually do the next step. Okay, so the fact that I'm back already and you haven't seen the cleanup means I was absolutely wrong in the order of the video. So, same thing. 10 ounces of resin I mixed up because I want to do the frog, but I'm going to do the frog in the copper and black as opposed to the fuchsia because we already have that one, right? So, mixed up the same amount of resin, doing all the same things, aside from the fact that it's the purple. Now, if you noticed with the bigger frame, the Into Resin one, I took some tape and kind of got off some areas. For whatever reason, I don't know if I had too much purple on my brush or if I put more purple in the black, whatever. It was just looking way, way, way too purple, and I want more black in there because I want to give it that old feel, right? So I just used some painter's tape and kind of hit some areas and took off some of that purple and put in the black. Now, I think I should have probably cleaned my brush first because in my opinion, when I go to demold it, I still think it has too much purple in it. But it is what it is. Like, there's nothing I can do about it now. But I do think that that was the issue. Just a little bit too much purple in my brush and not enough of the black to give it kind of the look that I really, really wanted that I'm getting off of these littler frames. Going through the same process again. Now, I'm going to have the same issues. I put popsicle sticks up underneath the low spots, but it's still the same thing as far as the overflow goes. I really wish that I would have noticed that before I started making the video because I would have returned them, honestly. Now, if these picture frames are something that you want, I could have just got a bad batch or I don't know, but there's a lot of different manufacturers that sell them. I will still link them below in case you can't find them and you want them, but a lot of different manufacturers do sell these that you can go onto Amazon and find very similar ones, if not the same ones, done by somebody else. So, anyway, on to what I'm doing. Just finishing up the black into the big one. Now it's time for the frog. Now, the only thing that I'm doing differently in here is that I'm going to fill this frog up all the way in one pour as opposed to doing it two pours like I did the last one. And honestly, that was simply because I ran out of resin in the last one, right? So I'm adding some of the chrome black powder to one of them, the copper or bronze, whatever one it is, to the other. And then I already poured some clear resin in the bottom because that is how I poured the frog initially. Now, this one does have that clear layer that I put in there from the start. So that's where I said you don't need to do that part, not for doing it like this. It's just more clear resin that honestly, I probably could have used more of the copper than what I have, but this is how I poured it with the fuchsia one. If you didn't see the last video, just so you have an idea. Again, the only difference is I'm doing it in one pour and then I didn't have that very first clear layer that's cured on there. So I just really just kind of kept the color along the edges and sides and in the feet of the frog. Black went down, like your clear goes down first. Then I poured all of my black and then in with the color. I think I could have made the copper maybe just a little bit more opaque as far as that goes. But other than that, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I think it turned out really cool. So now comes the fun part in cleaning off all of this. It's not really overspill because I didn't fill it too full. It's just annoying is what it is, honestly. And you'll see I had to bring out the clippers for it just because of the fact that it was too thick and honestly too soft. If I would have waited another day, it might have been a little bit easier to clean and I might have been able to do better with the knife and with the deburring tool, but because it was so soft, I kind of had to clip it and do it that way. I mean, it is what it is. Had to be done. It's worth it in the end. It really is. This turns out so cool. Like, I'm so excited about this. All right, so now is the point where I kind of decided what pictures I'm going to use, cutting them down to size to fit each one of these. Now, my initial thought was I was just going to use the scrapbook paper for all of the frames. However, because of the big frame obviously is the only one that I can put the actual like entirety of the picture in and actually be able to see it. The other ones, even the bigger one, I have to pick a section that I want to kind of focus on and cut it out from there. And I'm sure that there's a more efficient way of cutting than what I'm doing, but it's just what I chose to do. So there's that. But I didn't want to waste, like, I kind of like the image that's on that last piece of paper that's kind of sitting off to my left. I like the whole image and I didn't want to cut it down so much that I'm going to lose it. Like, I can very easily just use this in another one. So I'm just not going to use that one at all. And what we're going to do is, as I was kind of going through it, after I cut out the big sections, I thought, okay, well, I have enough like bigger pieces that I can use some of this in the smaller ones and it look okay. But then it got to the point where it was like some of them I had to cut down just so much that it was kind of pointless to even have it in there at all. And I did recently get some Halloween UV DTF stickers that I thought, okay, well maybe there's a couple of them that I can utilize and, still have this going on, but maybe there'll be some in the kind of like the color schemes that I'm going for in each set that I can use that will look okay and add to it, not take away from it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do 3 of the I think I did 2. I don't know. We'll see it all together. I'm not gonna pretend like I know what I did. I don't remember. Like I do and I don't. It's stupid. I'm sorry. It's been a week. It's been a week. So I decided that for this one, I like the little ghost. Now they didn't necessarily fit in here the right way, and as I was pulling it off, some of the edges kind of like ripped, and the way that the material is, like the sticky part, like the actual sticker, it's kind of like this weird gluey type substance. It's really weird, but it kind of stretches and just shreds almost. But where, yeah, in some instances it may be okay, that's a flaw, it kind of adds to how this looks. It gives it that worn, just haunted kind of look. Do you know what I mean? So we're just going to go with it and see how it is. Now, because I do need to put some Mod Podge down and I want to glue these in and seal the pictures in, I decided that I'm going to hold off on the stickers for a minute. We're going to get this part done so that it can start to dry because I can't put resin on top of it until it's fully dry. Now, that being said, what I did is I took each one of the pictures, except for one because I couldn't get it off and I didn't want to ruin it. Put a layer of Mod Podge, not super thick, but not super thin. Layer of Mod Podge down on the bottom of the frame. Put my picture in. Now, when you put your picture in, you want to make sure that it's going to go down the way you want it to, because it's going to start to stick immediately. Not stick like as in the glue's dry, stuck, but stick because it's wet and paper and whatever, and you don't want to pull it out and then have the issue with it ripping or anything like that. So make sure that it goes down the way that you want it to go down, and then put a nice, good, again, not super thick, but not super thin layer on top of it. Let it fully dry. Now, ideally, I would recommend probably you would want to put like 2 layers at least of the Mod Podge on there just to seal it in better and make sure that you didn't miss any areas or anything like that. Like I'm going through and I'm wiping off all the excess, and hindsight is a wonderful thing. That's what I should have done. I did not, which is why I'm telling you, ideally, that's probably what you should do. I was coming up on this taking me a lot longer than I thought it was going to, than I allotted myself time for. So towards the end, it was kind of like, I've got to get this done. One coat should be enough, but in actuality, two would have been better because there are areas where maybe the picture didn't connect fully, or there was air that was able to that got trapped under there that I didn't get out, that came out when I put the resin on. So take your time with this part. Make sure that you do go over it enough times that you are sealing that picture in. And also just throwing it out there for those of you who maybe have never done it before and worked with this before. Different pictures, depending on what inks they use, how it's printed and stuff like that, if the resin hits it, can react differently. It can lose the color, it can bleed, it can do all sorts of things. And you don't want that to happen, which is why you want to make sure that it's sealed. And the reason that I put it underneath too, instead of sealing it, like what I used to do is I used to brush both sides, front and back with the glue a couple of times and then put it into my resin. But I have come to the realization that I can kind of miss a step in there. If I put the glue on the bottom and then put the picture in and then put it on top, it's still going all the way through. I'm still getting that glue on the bottom that's still sealing it in, and I don't have to worry about it floating or moving in the resin because I'm gluing it where I want it to be. So that's what I do. I mean, that may not work for you and whatever your needs are, but that is kind of like a little, not necessarily a hack, but something that I've learned over time that works well for me. So now we're just going in and putting in the rest of the UV DTF stickers in this batch. Then we're going to go through, we're going to demold the purple ones, do the same thing. I'm not going to bring you back for me cleaning them. I'll do that off camera. You don't need to see it again. But I did have to do that with each one of those as well. And then we're going to move on to the resin part. Now, we'll talk about that more when I get there, but there are some things that I did that I would definitely recommend doing differently and would do differently had time allowed, but it is what it is. And I mean, it still turns out pretty cool. So I can't complain too terribly much. Okay, so last set of demolding, and then we are ready to finish up the rest of it. Again, love the way the blending turned out on most of them. They have enough black in there to give them that aged look that I'm looking for, aside from the large one, which we already talked about. So I'm super, 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 super happy with the overall aesthetic of it. Like, I think that this is going to be really, really cool. I am excited, really excited to see how the frog turned out. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it turned out as nice as the black and purple one. Like, really, really hoping for it. All in all, I think that they're going to make two really, really cute sets. I really do. Okay, time for Mr. Frog. Come on, hurry up. Do you ever notice that when you want things to hurry up, they go by too slow, but when you actually have something to say, it goes by so fast that you don't have enough time to say it all? It's where I'm at right now. Just in case you're wondering. All right, here we go. So, I am a little disappointed. It didn't turn out quite as vibrant as I was hoping. And that's why I said I think I needed to put maybe a little bit more of the copper bronze color in it. Maybe a little bit less black. I mean, you can see it, don't get me wrong. You can't really tell too much from camera right now, but you can see it. It's just not as vibrant as that purple was, but it is still pretty cool. So I don't know. I'm going to play around with a few different colors, I think, because I do like how it turned out. And for whatever reason, frogs seem to be one of my best sellers. I don't understand, but it is what it is. All right. I'm going to go through this process. I'm going to bounce off. I don't need to talk you through it again. It's the same thing we did with the last one. I'll be back when we're ready to do the resin.
Cobwebs cling to the golden frame. A child grins but forgets her name. The shadows move through the faces stay. Faded frames on the wall they stare, whispering secrets, pulling you there. Eyes that follow, cold and hollow. Faded frames, what do they know? A man in black with a crooked hat. His gaze is sharp, but his soul fell flat. The room feels colder where he sat. Who painted these? Who trapped their pleas? Faded frames on the wall they stare, whispering secrets, pulling you there. Eyes that follow, cold and hollow. Faded frames, what do they know? The glass is cracked, but the smiles remain, like they're waiting, hiding pain. Step too close, you'll feel their The walls are breathing in and out, I swear. 1,000 eyes, they follow everywhere. Frames are cracked, whispers slip through the glass. Who hung these ghosts from the past? A hallway that bends, it twists, it groans.
Okay, I am back. Now it is resin time. So, first things first, I chose to do UV resin, which I have not done before like this. I would recommend epoxy as opposed to UV, and here's why. Well, first, what I did, let me just tell you, we'll back up a second, what I'm doing here. I'm gonna cover it with UV resin, right? I decided that I want a little bit of black around those edges, so I just took a tiny bit of that chrome powder, a little bit of UV resin, and a little bit of extra fine glitter and black, mixed it together. It's not opaque whatsoever. It's still very, very transparent, but I did want that kind of black just edging around it, but I don't want it to overtake it, right? I don't want it to be so much that if it travels for whatever reason towards the middle some, that it's going to cover my pictures. Don't want that. But I do want to make sure that, in my opinion, when I put it around there, it gives it more of an aged look, like the actual picture itself. So that is why I'm choosing to kind of go in and do a couple drips here and there and just drag it along the edges of it, kind of pull it out in places here and there, like if it was coming into the picture itself, but not so much that it's going to cover, distort it too much. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm doing, sticking it under my Let's Resin cordless UV light for 2 minutes, and then moving on to the next one. And we're just going to continue with the progression line like that, right? To where we're just going to keep going. Now I am doing a thinner coat of resin. I don't need anything super thick. Don't want it super thick because then that's where you get into issues with UV resin. Or at least I do anyway. So I am keeping it thin. The main reason that I want it in there, one, is to get that kind of black edge along the side, and two, to seal in these items. Now, are they sealed in, at least the scrapbook paper, with the Mod Podge? Yes. And technically speaking, I could leave it at that and be done with it, but I want to make sure it's really, really sealed in there. And so that is why I am using resin. Now, if time were not a factor, I would have 100,000% done epoxy resin as opposed to UV resin. And it's for two reasons. One, I will choose epoxy over UV resin any day of the week, 100,000% done. Like, it is my preferred resin. Okay. That's me. That's my personal opinion. The second is because the way UV resin cures, I don't necessarily like it. Like, it has its use for some things. I honestly, part of me thinks it's kind of cool how it turned in this. Like, when you look at it, you can see how it almost looks sunken in, and it kind of pulls out because of the way it cures. It pulls out and it's higher along the edges. It kind of gives it a cool effect for this that I wouldn't get with epoxy. But overall, I just, I don't necessarily like it. Like, I would have preferred to do it. The only one that it probably benefited me doing UV resin is the two that are standing, the one with the tree and the one with the hourglass, this one right here, and the other one, because it has no edge on it. So especially because the pieces are kind of, they're lopsided a little bit because the mold was lopsided, right? So they're not going to be a completely level surface for epoxy to sit on and not run over a long period of time. That is where UV resin can come in handy, because I can do it real quick, pop it under the light, and then not have to worry about it running off the sides, as long as I'm quick and I don't put too much on. So that's one area where it has its benefit, right? But all in all, I prefer epoxy. I think it would have worked better with epoxy, but it turned out okay. Like, they turned out really cute. There are some where, as it cures, if it pulls out any bubbles, like, at that point you're screwed. There's not much you can do about it. The bubble's there, it's there. And I did have a couple pieces, I think this is one of them, where, there were no bubbles. And this is where maybe I didn't do a great job at sealing it in with the Mod Podge. No bubbles in here whatsoever. Any ones that were in there from me moving it around and doing what I'm doing now, I popped with a lighter. And then I look, and the next thing I see, there's a huge bubble on the top. And at that point, it's like not all the way to the top, it's underneath, but it's still there, it's still visible. And it's, unless I drill through it, which I'm not going to do for this because of how thin all of these pieces are, I think I'd probably drill all the way through, that it's there. it's there and there's nothing I can do about it at this point. Not really. So if it were epoxy now, I could be keeping an eye on it over the course of hours and popping any bubbles that rise to the surface. They would have time to rise to the surface and pop on their own, right? So like I said, a lot of it is just personal opinion and how I feel about them. To each one his own. Some people, I mean, maybe I'm just not good with UV resin. It's a possibility too, because I don't necessarily care for it, so I don't use it a whole lot. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I think all in all, they turned out great. But at this point, I'm just going to bounce off and then I will be back when we are ready to assemble this. Yes, we still have to assemble it and get the finishing results.
The walls are breathing in and out, I swear. 1,000 eyes, they follow everywhere. Frames are cracked, whispers slip through the glass. Who hung these ghosts from the past? A hallway that bends, it twists, it groans. Every step feels colder than bones. Don't look too close, the pictures bite. They steal your face in the dead of night. Haunted frames, they hold your name, and now you're part of their twisted game. A girl in lace, her smile's too wide. She moves when you blink, can't run, can't hide. The butler's portrait, his eyes drip black. If you turn around, don't turn back. The wind hums low, it sings your sin. The house decides who leaves, who stays in. Don't look too close, the pictures bite. They steal your face in the dead of night. Haunted frames, they
Okay, I am back for the last time. Now, I created these, and through the beginning, I wasn't sure if I was going to use all of the pieces for each color or not, but I wanted to do them just because I wanted to see how they were going to turn out. And then I did them all, and I like them all. But some of them, like they're really small. And I started thinking, okay, I want to sell these as 2 separate sets. But what are you going to do with these itty bitty tiny ones? Like, what are you really going to do with them? So I thought, well, maybe we can kind of piece them on top of each other and then it's more doable. Like, put the really small ones on top of the larger Let's Resin one, glue one of them onto one of these slightly bigger ones, and then you can attach some, like, of the, what is it, like the M3 sticky back stuff that you can put on your walls or something like that, and you can hang it up like that. Or maybe with a bigger one, you might be able to stick it on like one of those plate frames thingies, stands, you know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know. All in all, though, like, I really, really, really like how these turned out. I think they turned out super, super cute. I'm super happy with them. And I absolutely adore the frogs. Like, I don't know. I think, like, part of me wants to say the one with, like, the bronzy color is my favorite, but then I look at the purple and I'm like, oh, but that's my favorite too. So like, I don't know which one I like more. I I don't know. I don't know. Which ones do you like guys like more? Like, I'm curious. I'm curious. Anyway, let me know in the comment section. I'm just gonna glue these on with E6000, let them cure up for the next 24 hours, and yeah, that's it. That is a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you guys on Tuesday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Blue elephant is strong. Together we belong. In every comment right, you lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer. Blue elephant crew, this one's all for you. You make dreams come true with everything you do. Each subscriber's heart playing a vital part. Videos we share, showing how much we care. Likes and shares, they grow. You make the channel glow. Every single view, I owe it all to you. Blue elephant crew, this one's all for you. You make dreams come true with everything you do. Each subscriber's heart playing a vital part. Videos we share, showing how much we care.